I never thought that Albert Einstein and Isaac Newton could contribute something to our grace walk until I learned about some discoveries that they both made. Of course, Einstein was a deist who didn't believe so much in a personal God as he did in an energy that he called God, not the way you and I as believers do. Isaac Newton, on the other hand, was a dedicated believer, a follower of Jesus Christ, but hey, he lived in the time period in which he lived. So, from a scientific standpoint, he had some limitations. But who am I to criticize the man? He understood some things from a science standpoint that I didn't know until I learned it from him. Albert Einstein, did a lot to study energy. And one of the things, in fact, perhaps his most well known theorem that he came up with was the theory of special relativity. You've heard it. E equals mc squared. It's a theorem that shows the fact that mass and energy are the same thing being expressed in two different ways. E equals energy equals m is mass times the speed of light squared. So what he's saying then is that physical matter and energy are the same thing. Physical matter is basically energy that has slowed down sufficiently that you're able to see it because it slows down and materializes. Now, Isaac Newton, on the other hand, taught us what is called the law of universal gravitation. And in his discovery, he said that bodies with mass attract each other. So here's what Newton is saying. Bodies of mass are drawn to other bodies of mass or material. Einstein says energy is mass, just in a different form. Now, let me draw the conclusion, and then I want to give you a biblical application or interpretation of it. Your thoughts are energy, right? The things that you think, that's energy. Now, according to Einstein, energy and mass are the same. So energy and mass are the same thing, just in two different forms. If your thoughts are energy, and as Newton said, mass attracts mass, then your thoughts will draw you toward certain material outcomes. And those material outcomes will be drawn toward the way you think. Does that make sense? If energy is mass, just in a different form, according to Einstein, and it's scientifically agreed upon, and if mass attracts mass, as Newton said, and everybody agrees on that, then there's no denying the fact that how you think affects the physical, material experiences that you will have in life. I mean, this is exciting to me because it's finally science catching up with faith. I've said it so many times that science and faith used to stand in opposition to each other, but now cutting edge science and faith can walk arm in arm and live happily ever after. How you think will facilitate what you experience and what will come to you in this world. I mean, others outside of the faith seem to have moved in on it maybe better than we have. I mean, if you're familiar with the law of attraction, somebody might say, "Are you talking about that?" Well, I kind of am, I guess. I don't know. It's not my fault that they discovered it before we understood it. But, I mean, actually they didn't, because Jesus one time said, "According to your faith, so be it unto you." Another way of saying that is, how you think it's going to be is how it's going to be. You know, the other verse from, I think it's from the Proverbs, that says, as you think in your heart, as a person thinks in his heart, so is he. The way you think about things is going to be greatly influential in what happens in your life. So I want to encourage you again to let's practice what Paul the Apostle said when he was writing to those Corinthians. And he said, let's bring take every thought captive to Christ. And Christ is that all-encompassing person whose presence fills the cosmos and who is pure love by nature. So let's bring every thought from down in the low places up to the high vibes. Or again, some of you need a Bible verse. Set your affection on things above. Put your attention on things above, not on things on the earth. So let's raise our sights. Let's have higher expectation. Let's approach our day with faith instead of fear. And that's going to be helped if you will allow the things that come into your field of vision, you know, what you watch and what you hear, if you allow those things to lift you up instead of pull you down. But anyway, Einstein and Newton, Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, and you and me, what do we all have in common? The recognition that how we think has a large influence on what we experience in this world. So let's think right. Science tells us the value of that. Of course, the Bible tells us the value of that. Jesus Christ himself told you and me the value of that. So let's stop with the stinking thinking and act like we really believe there is a God above who loves us. Because when we believe that and act that way, life around us will change. All right. I hope this little tidbit or snippet from the science world will encourage you in your own grace walk.